The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back, everyone, to our workshop, From Clicks to Connection, Reclaiming the Soul of Marketing Through Purpose. And today we're going to dive deeply into the soul of marketing, how to move beyond hollow messages and create real emotional connections with your customers. Joining me, Stephen Skash, is Tulio Siragusa and Mike Lusky. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Good to see you, Stephen. Can't wait.
Yeah, and if you wait to the end of this broadcast, there's going to be a special offer, so stay tuned for that. But let's start out with a stat here. Did you know that 64% of consumers say they are more likely to buy from a brand that shares their values? So we've all seen it, marketing that feels empty. Mike, why do you think such marketing feels so hollow? We see a lot.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about this today. I think it comes down to lack of connection due to really missing out on empathy and purpose. Just so many brands today are focusing on sell rather than on connecting. And so they see customers more as transactions instead of really a genuine relationship that they can build. But we know, that's not where loyalty really comes from. So we want to try to fix that.
Exactly, because loyalty is built when people actually feel seen, heard, and understood. So if you're blaring at them, that's not happening, right? But it takes more than just good intention. It takes strategy to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, well, so let's start with what we call the empathy gap. So it's kind of that invisible barrier between what brands think they're saying and what customers actually feel. I just saw this last night, this local car commercial that they're talking about things like trust and loyalty. And I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling this at all from you guys. But the brands have this feeling like, hey, we're saying these things, our customers must feel it. And that's not always the case.
It really isn't, right? And the scary thing is now most brands don't even know that they have this empathy gap until, unfortunately, they're losing customers and it's just too late.
All right, so enough with the teasing. This is why we created this workshop, right? So we want to help brands identify that gap and close it. And it starts with, drumroll, purpose. In fact, the Harvard purpose, that's it, right? The Harvard Business Review, in fact, says that companies that use empathy in their messaging see a 20% increase in customer satisfaction. So if we're talking about ads that really understood purpose and empathy, Dove Real Beauty is one of the great examples of this. Dove shifted from generic beauty ads, which was often highlighting features and benefits, your standard stuff, right? Talking about moisturizing properties, very typical ads, the kinds you see thousands of times over and over, to telling authentic stories about body positivity and changing the narrative in the beauty industry. So over the past 2 decades, they've done a lot of different versions of ads, and some have been excellent ones that are out there to check out. And we found one that we think could be worth watching. So
yeah, let's play this. A lot of these ads, really, we're talking about higher purpose. And so this is an example of featuring that higher purpose and how it comes out in your ads and how it can build that connection.
All right, so let's check this out.
That's difficult.
For me, definitely nothing.
Her freckles. I love them.
I would like to have a bum.
I was going to say the same thing.
Her dimples are also beautiful.
She makes me blush.
I think Tanya has a radiance when she smiles, and I think it's gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's a great ad. And it's just one Yeah, one of these many examples of ads that Dove has come across after they've realized that there is this problem is that only 2% of women worldwide saw themselves as beautiful, largely because advertisers are bombarding everyone with images of what ideal beauty is. With social media, it's constant. So Dove took their millions of dollars and put it into billions and billions of ad impressions that put good into the world. And that changed their brand. And they're still doing that today. From when they started this campaign 21 years ago, they haven't deviated from making these purpose-focused ads, and they really do resonate. And people identified with these campaigns in a deep way. And so Dove, they've stayed authentic to that, and they haven't strayed from that at all. So marketers, I think, here have a great opportunity if we start asking ourselves how we can build love and empathy into what we're doing, because this is really what resonates.
So there's so many of those.
Quickly add something to this. It wasn't just an ad campaign that was wildly successful for them. It was a movement. It became a movement. The whole body positive image movement. They didn't just start something that impacted that brand. They changed the worldwide image of how women could perceive themselves. It was brilliant, and it really had a dramatic impact on society. That's when you've got really that secret sauce you've created.
Yeah, and Tula, like you mentioned, if you look back at some of their old ads prior to this, they were really just talking about features and benefits, the moisturizing properties of Dove, and that's great and everything, but they nowhere come close to these type of ads on how deeply they resonate with people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Always brand, right? Like a girl campaign. We talk about that pretty frequently. So here's an exercise for you, just maybe a quick reflection to look at maybe your own marketing. Write down, if you're able to, write your most common brand message. And are they human? Would you say yes or no? And then do they sound like a real conversation? And to give you a couple other examples, right? Stephen and Tulia were talking about the Dove Beauty campaign. A human version is, you're more beautiful than you think. But a very hollow example could be something like, this is infused with a quarter moisturizing cream for softer, smoother skin, right? How many of those have we seen? Or even SaaS companies, sometimes fall victim to this. You'll see on their website a hollow headline like, optimize operational workflows to drive scalable efficiencies. And some of that has to be so keyword driven that the humanity is just, again, completely taken out of it. So now let's jump maybe into our next section. Now that you have those written down and had a chance to look at them, we'll talk a little bit more about like, what is the secret then to customer loyalty? And this is really where, getting to the heart of the matter, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, comes in, right? It's not just about selling. It's really about making people feel something.
Yeah, and there's a lot of science that actually backs this up. You can talk about mirror neurons, emotional contagion. Tulio, how do these play into marketing?
Yeah, and this is key because I don't think we put enough attention actually to the science behind the marketing, but there is. I mean, and there are the mechanics of emotional connections. The mechanics to emotional connection. There's actually a science. It's not foofy stuff, right? And mirror neurons lets us feel what we see. Mirror neurons lets us feel what we see. That's a key thing to remember. And emotional contagion means the feeling spreads, right? So if your brand creates joy, customers feel joy. So they're now leaving with a feeling. They're going to remember the feeling, not just the product.
Yeah. Love that famous Maya Angelou quote for sure, right? People are going to remember how you make them feel. So on top of what Tulio and Stephen just mentioned, right? Brands are also spreading a little bit of negativity when they're not leading with heart. And if a campaign feels inauthentic to you, it does the exact opposite of what you're trying to achieve. It really starts to create a little bit of mistrust, and consumers are just going to go to the very next brand.
Yeah, so there are 31 emotion clusters in advertising, and there are 17 consumption emotions. And these are negative and positive when someone is using your product or service. So when we talk about empathetic marketing, it's really about how people feel through the various stages of your customer journey. And it's about resonance with that to create and emotional connection. So let's talk about one of the most powerful rebrands in marketing history, Apple's Think Different campaign. So yeah, let's go back to 1997. So Apple was in trouble. Market share was slipping, and the public perception of the brand was lukewarm at best. Then Steve Jobs returned, if you remember, and then with him came this bold new vision to revive the brand. So instead of leading with tech specs and product features, kind of like what Mike was talking about above, very dry, the campaign chose something radical, and that was emotion. So Apple shifted from the conversation from what it makes to why it exists. So Think Different, the campaign celebrated big thinkers, if you remember, and boundary pushers, people like Einstein, Picasso, Amelia Earhart. And the imagery was this black and white kind of striking portraits of icons who changed the world simply by refusing to follow it. And at the heart of it was this famous line, "Here's to the crazy ones." So let's run that.
Okay. Here we go.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So I love this.
I mean, I get choked up watching that.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not talking about any sort of features, right? You don't get not a single word on any of that. So it was this whole concept. It wasn't just this sort of tagline either. It's this rallying cry, right? And in doing that, Apple just didn't sell computers. They inspired people. And the result was this emotional connection. So Apple's brand image turned around, sales soared, and the path was paved for innovations like, the Mac, iPod, iPhone, and beyond. And even today, that Think Different continues to shape how we see Apple, not just as a tech company, but this symbol of creativity and courage and human potential. And emotional connection here is why happy customers create more happy customers through word of mouth. So when we have that emotional connection, we want to share that with others. So you might be saying, yeah, this sounds great, but how can I do that? Apple and Dove have these huge budgets and big agencies. Well, that's what we kind of set out to do, is to help marketers and business owners make these kind of connections. So let's get practical here, Mike. We want to run through a simple kind of framework that covers, purpose and story building and then emotion. And let's start with purpose. How can we help people with this particular area, which is kind of tricky?
Yeah, it is really. And I think for one, we're so busy today that many of us don't even stop to think about purpose. And again, I know we're talking to an audience of experts and business leaders, so that we're on the same page. Purpose being your why you exist. Your mission and your vision. Mission being the how and the what, right? How you're going to go about that, what you're doing. Like we think about Patagonia. They obviously make incredible apparel so that we can enjoy the planet, but it's also sustainable, right? And it's done in green ways. And then the vision is essentially, what does the world look like once you actually get there? And it's critical, to be able to have these components in your marketing. And so now with AI and the training that we've given aiCMO on empathy and good examples of marketing, you can do that for pennies of what it used to cost. So yeah, maybe Tulio, if we could share the screen.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll actually show how you can do that. Now I've already got a preset example of one, and we're just going to jump into the results of Purpose Crafter. So for California Dog Kitchen, again, not our client. I just chose them. They're very much about love. So with the tool, we were able to come up with their default purpose being to drive pet parents to action with love-fueled feeding choices and to redefine pet nutrition by placing love and transparency at its core, right? So if that's their purpose, that'll now feed into all of their other marketing. But how do you get there, right? So with Purpose Crafter, what you're able to do, here, I'll just take a step back, and then I'll show you how you're able to go in and then develop your purpose. So I'll bring Purpose Crafter up, and you'll see here it creates a unique set of questions, for you. So it starts off with questions like your unique value to do you provide to customers and community? What principles or values are most important to how you operate? And so we know that these can be a little bit difficult sometimes to answer. They take some thought. So if I was Allervision Tech here, and I was stumped, I could just very simply click here, the get answers from our AI. So aiCMO will come in and suggest some answers. And you can do this, for all the questions, pretty quick. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to select a couple of these so you see exactly how it works. And I'll do it just for the required questions. Feel free, again, as a user, you can drill down into deeper things like what legacy and impact, do you want your business to have on the world? And so you can take some, significant time to, thoughtfully answer these questions. And then once you submit it, what it'll start to do is, based on the information you've given aiCMO, it's going to generate 5 unique why questions. I think we've all heard that exercise about the 5 whys. And so as it's doing that, again, you'll be able to thoughtfully answer them. Again, if you're dealing with a little bit of say the blank page syndrome, the AI suggestions is there. And just for the sake of the demo, I'll go through these pretty quickly. So you can see really how easy it is now to give a tool or a machine information that really matters to your brand. And so again, with Allervision, we'll submit this and we'll come back and look to see exactly what they came back with. But if I go back to the California Dog Kitchen and look at their purpose, again, what is aiCMO now able to do? What are you able to do now with this information? Quite simply, if I went through and I built an example of an ad here for you. So using Ad Creator, let's just say I wanted to do some Instagram ads for my new pet food that just came up above. So what aiCMO will do is I'm missing a required field. There we go. You can see up here at the top, the tool now has the purpose that we chose for California Dog Kitchen, and that'll be infused into whatever piece of marketing output we create, whether if it's an ad, a social media post, it'll begin with that. And so just show you here the results of Social Butterflies. So this is a Facebook text ad talking about their new product that they wanted to launch. So for all the health conscious pet parents out there, California Dog Kitchen, we're thrilled to introduce our latest batch of premium dog food recipes crafted with love and care. Our new lineup features incredible novel proteins such as wild-caught fish, free-range venison, organic chicken. These recipes are not only delectable, but also tailor-made to meet the dietary needs of your breed and age, making them perfect for your sensitive and picky pups.
So Mike, you didn't give them you didn't give the AI any of that information about that. I mean, you didn't type in any details. You just basically went in there, hey, here's our higher purpose, answered some of these questions about our higher purpose and came up with this purpose statement. And then the AI took that and very little information, just what it knows off about the brand, right? And it built this ad within seconds that really kind of speaks to that purpose and brings it out, right? There was no extra details on you. You were talking about a lot of details there that you did not type in anywhere or had any.
No.
I mean, we haven't called it this, but that's agentic AI that just happened there. That was an agent that did that. That's right there. It's built into the platform. I'm realizing as we're doing this, we actually have an agentic platform built into this model. It's amazing because there was no human interaction. It was done automatically.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump into purple goldfish next?
Yeah, let's
Bliss Campaign Lab.
Yeah, maybe let's do that. Let's do because so you got the purpose, right? So we've gone through this exercise. I've seen clients spend as little as 3 or 4 minutes on it working on. I've seen some spend an hour because they're really taking time and coming up with these purpose statements that for the first time they haven't really articulated about their business. And the output, it kind of spit back all these different ideas for purpose, and they're able to choose one or edit one, come up with their own purpose. So now that we've got that purpose in place, we want to take that next step and see what we can create as far as like concepts around an ad campaign. So you're doing this one for TEMA ETFs. This is TEMA ETFs.
Just for a click, for those joining us for the first time, Bliss stands for Build Love into Scalable Systems. So this idea of infusing love and empathy and feeling into these campaigns, that's the genesis of the Bliss. Just wanted to give background to people.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tulio. So and the reason I chose TEMA in particular, or an asset manager, is we know from being experts in this vertical that financial services asset management really suffer from what we call the sea of sameness, right? Every brand is navy blue. Everyone says, hey, our objective is to preserve long-term capital and maximize results. And then literally the next brand comes through and they say the exact same thing. There's just no heart.
You're putting us to sleep with those.
And we're all going to change the world.
They're not going to change the world. That's right. So what's interesting about TEMA is they're a pretty unique brand. So they, I just want to make sure you guys can see their website. Yeah. So they offer, a set of very interesting, I would say, sleeves into a portfolio, and they need to be able to articulate this and differentiate themselves. So doing a little bit of work with aiCMO and their purpose. I just took one of their, standard plain Jane ETFs, and I said, hey, I want to promote this ETF, DSPY, on YouTube. And you can see just the imagination that the AI came back with, investing futures reimagined. So highlight the aspirations and future goals of diverse investors from various backgrounds. Show how TEMA supports in each individual's journey towards financial growth through personalized advice. I'll kind of read through some of these.
Family financial legacies. I can see that being really good for storytelling, like that concept.
Mike, can you just mention how many steps were just taken care of? Like if this was being done manually, this would end up going to some planning team, branding team, strategy team. Like how many steps would this just bypass very quickly? And they wouldn't come back with anything as good as this, because they'd be coming back with the stuff we all hear.
You're totally right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So Bliss Campaign Lab is super easy. I mean, you're probably skipping thousands of steps. So here in the left nav, you can see Bliss Campaign Lab. It just takes essentially 3 components, which you've already taken care of your purpose, because again, that gets infused into every output. Next, they just want a description of what you want to promote. So I told it, the DSPY ETF, and then where I wanted to promote it. Let's just say I want to do Google Ads, right? And then that's it. If there's words I want to avoid, I can do that. I'm very vocal about not liking the word unlock or unleash or transform. So you can exclude those. Tell us who your target audience is, but you've already done that when you've registered the company, which we can show pretty quickly. And then the nice thing is, if you have ad concepts that you really liked, say for example, I want to mimic the Dove Real Beauty campaign. Say, hey, mimic something like that. You can just tell the AI, but that's it. What product do you want to promote and where? And if you want, you could just skip everything else. That's there. And then I did build a unique brand voice for TEMA ETFs, but that's it. Just click the button and let it go.
Yeah, and that there's a brand voice feature on there where you can either have the AI go to your website and figure out what your brand voice is currently, or it can run you through an exercise of, hey, here's a few different ways you can go about the brand voice. Or if you like the Nike brand voice, for instance, you could be like, hey, emulate this brand voice. So there's a lot of ways you can get to it really simply, to fill out that one section that Mike had in there, and that'll bring that into your ad campaign too. Hey, Mike, I'm really curious about this Dove, the Dove Real Beauty edition that you've added into this. I'm wondering.
The Dove angle.
I just wanted to quickly add it, just bring some levity to this. And if anybody's gone through a branding exercise, that is not like a quick thing. That is weeks and months, sometimes very long time, just to define your brand, that you can do in minutes here.
I like this concept here, narrative, the next gen investment stories, narrative driven ads where people share personal success stories. That sounds like something that could be very connecting. The idea here with this is just to give you campaign ideas, right? We haven't built any campaigns or anything yet. It's just to come up with something that you think kind of resonates for your brand or for your customers. And you can iterate this process and do it again if you want. But usually we find 2 or 3 really great ideas that come out of this.
Yeah. This one here seems to have caught on to the Dove Real Beauty, right? It says portray real life examples. So you're starting to get some of those. And then, I like this other one too, focusing on the human impact. So what do you do once you like one of these concepts and you want to build out a campaign? So I've done one, but I'll just show you very quickly how phenomenally quick you can do this. So
you can click on that turbo mode, and that's just going to do it.
Oh, that's just going to do it. Yeah, that'll just take that, and it's just going to start to run.
We use really complicated jargon like turbo.
That's just like
it's just going to go. But let me in expert mode. Let's see here. I'll go back to the
turbo mode. Is going to kind of pick some of the most common types of ad creative you might need. Expert mode will be like, okay, hey, I want to do a blog article, 2 emails, 1 social ad for Instagram, 1 ad for Google ads, maybe throw in a couple social posts.
Yep.
And so you can kind of build up your own recipe for what you do.
Yep.
And so
right here, you essentially start to build your cart. I click
on that. Go back to that strategies there, Mike. I think you got to click on a strategy too. I was going to say something on that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go. That's an ad creator. Click the ad tool, and then right here, if you choose that, and then here's your strategy.
Google, and then you got the ad type. So maybe you're familiar with the RSAs, the responsive search ads. That's probably the most popular on Google. And then the strategies section here. Really what we've done is for each area, so we're talking Google right now, we've looked at who are the experts in this area, what strategies are they using, and program those into this so that you can select one of these strategies in there. Mm-hmm. And if you miss a part of this, it's going to tell you once you try and submit this here.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's just say we need a couple blogs for this ETF, and I want to do one for retail investors, and you can pretty complicated topic sometimes, so you can bump down the readability. Let's just say I want to do another one for advisors, and it's going to be more complex, so this will be more educational and informative, and maybe that readability is a little bit higher. And then of course we want to do some social posts. So just choose social butterfly, and I want to do these posts on LinkedIn. So again, those can be, make them B2B. And again, to the strategies that Stephen was talking about, relationship building, and let's make these kind of exciting or whimsical if you want. So as you can see here, this cart has now started to build the social post, the couple blogs that we're going to create, the ads for Google. Again, if you wanted to do a purple goldfish exercise for this ETF, you could do that. And that's pretty much, it there. You can just click build campaign. Oh, there you go, Steve. I missed one of the fields. So it'll tell you that I missed a field, and it was the strategy field. So I'll click save. All right. And now I can click build campaign. And it's starting to run every single one of these tools. I'll give it a minute so that I could think about it, but so that you could see what that output kind of looks like for one that I did previously. I had selected one ad to run. I had created a welcome email for TEMA ETFs, and then a couple blogs here. And so you can see as far as the ad copy goes on LinkedIn, it gives you some of the headlines, the descriptions. Here's the welcome email. So
amazing.
With the subject line, welcome to the. Say that again.
I said amazing. I also wanted to mention, for those who are very performance driven, like most in marketing are, this wasn't created by a technology company. This was created by a marketing and ad agency. And also it was created by a company very focused on performance. And we tested this in our own campaigns. And we've seen as much as 56.25% improvement in click-through rates. I mean, the performance improvements are astonishing. It's not just marginally a little bit more; it's like significantly more.
Yeah, not just and click-through rates. We've seen on return on ad spend 50% plus increase.
Insane.
But so really, when we were developing this, we've got an agency of professionals, so we're constantly just, hey, use this, give us feedback. So it's being developed by a lab of professionals. So you don't have to be an expert, and you don't have to know why, the 30 different things we put into this, Google ad and giving it instructions. You don't have to know any of that. You're just like, click a button here, and it's going to bring in this expert techniques, because we wanted our professionals to be able to use this on their campaigns and improve results. So Mike, you've clicked on, is this completed the
Turbo?
Oh, this is the turbo.
Yeah, this was turbo. So it decided on these.
Yeah. So it's come back with basically, I don't know how long this would take me. This would take me several days, if not a week, to. I've got to write a blog. I've got to come up with concepts for surprise and delight, which is the purple goldfish. So it's done all this while we were, talking, and the turbo mode finished.
If you're a planner, you can go have more coffee with your friends after you've done with this.
Here's the expert mode, the one that Mike walked through creating. Click on. Let's click on a couple of these. Let's just see.
Yeah. So here are the ads for Google. Again, to their requirements of 30 characters or less, and the descriptions. And so you can just put these right into your campaign, right? Invest in thematic solutions. We can go to the blog, which again, with the blog, this is a starting point, right? But you can see how far ahead you got. So exchange traded funds are shaping the way people invest. They offer diversified exposure, flexible trading. But here, they start to talk about TEMA, aim to offer clear, practical solutions in a fast moving market. They talk about their three main types, right? They're funds that are devoted to life sciences.
Yeah, you didn't type in any of these details, Mike.
Nothing. Yep.
We've run this through, like every week, we're running it through like 100 different companies now.
Yep.
Where it's just coming. It doesn't matter what company you're running it through. It really comes up with some creative ideas.
I love it.
What's the social media challenge down here?
This one right here. Yeah. So the Purple Goldfish idea is to launch a campaign where investors are encouraged to share their own experiences and success stories with TEMA on social media.
Community building.
Yep, user-generated content right there.
Interesting.
You didn't have to plan it; it did it for you. Okay,
Yeah.
so now purple goldfish.
Yeah, this is basically the surprise and delight aspect of. So what we had talked about before is that creating that emotional connection, right, with a customer when they're using your product or service. You want to kind of go the extra mile sometimes, do something that they weren't expecting. And what this does, it plays into those positive consumption emotions that we talked about earlier, to where now they're getting this feeling of working with your brand. They weren't expecting this. They weren't expecting this from your company. And now you've moved them from maybe a satisfied customer to now more of a loyal customer, more of someone who's going to advocate for you. And what happens is when you can make an emotional connection through some of these like surprise and delight ideas and things like that, what happens is statistics show that you're going to have a 306% increase in the lifetime value of that customer over a satisfied customer. That's just over a satisfied customer. So this is how you create the ultimate sort of customer, is by really tapping into that emotional connection. And the folks that are, emotionally connected, they're not just going to be using your product themselves. They're going to tell their friends about it. This is when you get them doing the marketing for you. So this is a really key element with, why is this purple goldfish thing in there? This is really just about trying to build an emotional connection on this stage of the customer journey, giving you ideas that you can bring to your business. So whether you're, a pet food store or ETF provider or, maybe carpet cleaner, whatever the business is, it's going to come up with some very creative ideas for you to help build that emotional connection.
What I love about this is that a lot of companies struggle with going the extra mile, figuring out how do we go the extra mile? How can we show that we can go the extra mile? And this is a great tool to essentially infuse that into how you deal with customers, how you communicate with them. You can show up as the company that goes the extra mile. That's the beautiful thing about it. And it gives you a systematic, consistent way to do it without having to spend, weeks and months trying to figure it out. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and as you saw there, my inputs were really simple. There's just 2 inputs to be able to go through and show.
I might go back to the dashboard here real quick. You can.
For TEMA or for
this one, did you do a purple goldfish builder for California Dog Kitchen?
I didn't, but I could run.
Well, yeah, let's just walk through that real quick. So you're already done doing it, right? You just did it just then.
I just did it.
You just did it right then, right? That's all the inputting that you needed right there was just doing that much.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to
already has that. It's probably already done.
Thank you, Martha. Whoever's watching, you can place your comments. We'll see them.
All right. So it's working on creating some ideas here for this campaign.
For purple goldfish, There you go.
We're just doing this on the fly right now. This wasn't prepped in advance.
So let's see.
No, this wasn't part of the plan.
Love it.
You refreshed or something.
Yeah, just refresh here. Let's go. Sorry, I think my system. I got so many windows. When you run a demo, it's just like, I'm over here, I'm over there. So let's see.
Click on.
I'm dying. Drum roll.
See what it came
so
up
we
with.
should let the secret out. Mike is actually AI, a bot, and he's doing 5 of these at the same time.
So what do we got here? Some of these ideas. Birthday club for dogs. I like that.
Yeah.
Create a campaign.
I like that. Instead of personalized, personalized. Welcome.
Personalized.
Welcome.
Oh, I like that.
Instead of patron, they got the Patron loyalty program. That's so cool. Recipe of the month.
That tongue-in-cheek thing it's cute. People remember that stuff. It's different.
Absolutely. Like the Eco Pup Pack, so include a sample of eco-friendly bags or utensils made from similar compostable materials as your packaging with orders. I mean, the Golden Retriever membership. So if you know that your pet owners have Golden Retrievers, a specific one for them there.
Puppy
behind
progress.
The bowl. Yeah, puppy progress.
So it's
So
got
nice
like,
recipe challenge. That's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, I could have spent all week trying to come up with like 3 of these ideas, I think, on my own.
Yep.
So it's got a whole bunch of ideas. So, and you can iterate this. But the idea here is really, it's when they're experiencing your brand or your company or your product, is to try and build an emotional connection in some way. So that's what's going on here. And you saw how Mike did it, was like 2 clicks in half a second. I don't even know if you saw it. It went by so fast when he first created it.
Now, if you're a strategist, you could say it's going to take you a couple of weeks to work on this and do it in 2 minutes and then go to
If you're a fractional CMO, like, yeah, hey, here's what I'm going to work on is these 10 things, be done.
Yeah. Make it pretty simple.
Really, it's ideally, it's going to 10x, 100x what you're doing, right? So that you've got more time for other things versus, I mean, you could do like Tulio said, run all this and here's my week's worth of work. But ideally,
more time for yourself, whatever rocks your boat. You could be super productive or have a little more time for yourself.
However you use your time's up to you. So
exactly. We'll give you the results. What you do with your time, that's up to you.
Yeah. Well, and I think
more.
Say it again.
I'm just saying, ideally, it's freeing up time for you to do more marketing, not necessarily sit by the pool all day after.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I think it's what we talked about earlier. You're getting back to it. It's doing marketing again the right way, right? You've got your brand voice. You've got your purpose. I mean, we didn't even show you the brand story and the mission statement that it can be. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the differentiation. There's all these different ways to set yourself apart. So, like if you're using like Chat GPT or something, and say I'm selling dog food, and I'm coming up with, write me an article, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
You're going to get a very similar article to that same other dog company, down the road that's selling dog food. Or if you're a carpet cleaner and you're saying, write me an article for my blog, you're going to get very similar content as to, the one across town or the one across country. If you don't really take some steps like we've outlined here, that the kind of professionally, this is what we do, is like, how can we differentiate? How can we build emotional connection? All these steps that come in order to produce a much better output.
I mean, I love ChatGPT, don't get me wrong, but it is cumbersome to come up with things like this. You go and you give it another prompt and it changes everything around, and you got to give it another prompt to go back to not change that piece. It's like it could take you hours just instructing it on how to do this. Why? It's not built for that, right? So
and Tulio, sometimes as marketers, we also don't know what we don't know. So there might be like 20 different expert techniques on, say, a social media post. And I could help prompt ChatGPT to maybe, do a couple of those that I want and get some kind of result from it. But with this, we've got the 20 different expert techniques there where you just click a button and it's going to bring that into the process too. And so you don't even have to know, the thought process behind all that necessarily. Just, this sounds right. I want it to be more sincere. I want it to be more emotionally connecting. So you click the strategy button. That's around that.
You get the multi-million-dollar campaign capability at your fingertip for, not even a fraction of that cost. I mean, you just can't beat that.
So this is your AI Chief Marketing Officer. This is aiCMO. And this is what you can do in, like Mike's worked on several campaigns here already in the course of this time, which would have taken a couple of weeks at least for those 2 clients that you kind of walked through, those 2 customers.
Yep. Excellent.
So what we're seeing here is it's not just about having a story and purpose. It's how to turn them into a strategic advantage. That's really what we're doing here is how to turn purpose into a strategic advantage, and having a tool to effectively do that is the key.
Yeah. Precisely. Yeah. And then purpose has to show up in your actions, right? It doesn't have to just be in the slogans.
Exactly. It's about creating a purpose-driven experience across every customer touch point. That's what I love about this. One click and you got every customer touch point, from the first ad they see all the way through their follow-up email that they get, which is really infusing how you operate across your entire business with every touch point you have with your customers.
Yeah, and when companies, they can figure out their purpose and can make that purpose their focus, they grow 3 times faster than other companies, right? And a lot of times we take it for granted, but your purpose, it doesn't also have to be like a social cause to it, right? I think some people may confuse it with that, of being like, something eco-friendly or some type of social related cause. It can be, one of our podcast guests was, helping people grow big and small, right? It's like, it's around kindness and love and empathy sometimes on a lot of these things. So your purpose, it just doesn't always have to take on that social cost if that's what you're worried about. But you'll often find out going through this exercise really how you truly impact the world around you when you start to focus on how you are really in service to people. So if you've got questions, go ahead and submit them now. In the meantime, let's run one last ad and try to get through it without getting emotional, as we're all fathers of daughters here. So it's not going to happen. This is
we're doing it towards the end because that would be a mess otherwise.
Yeah, this is the Always Like a Girl campaign, one of their ads. This is really a great series. If you want to just look them up on YouTube too. All
right. Ready? Get the tissues ready.
Hi, Aaron. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Here. Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So this is, one of these ads that really they understood they have a chance to change a narrative, right? And you have a chance to change a narrative with your kind of marketing that you do if you want. And so maybe you can put some good into the world with your advertising. And so aiCMO, this is what we're trying to build here, is to help you find your purpose and create campaigns that align with that purpose.
Exactly. Yep. And so I think, Stephen, for our audience that's with us here today, we want to be able to help them do this. So I'm going to just here real quickly share my screen and present for you the URL. Again, we want to get in touch, with you. If you'd like to reach out, feel free to set up a meeting on our calendar. I felt like, for the first 5 attendees that booked a meeting on our calendar, we would do like 5 maybe walkthroughs of aiCMO, really get you to be able to find your purpose, show you how that purpose and those differentiation points can really come through your marketing. And then obviously just do it in a really quick and easy way.
And if it's difficult to see that, you can also just comment where you are saying I'm interested, and we'll make sure we follow up. We'll find a way to get in touch with you and follow up with you.
Yeah. So Mike, you're gonna do a one-on-one session with him, right? To help do that. That's what so sign up for that. It's a great opportunity to really kind of elevate your brand.
Perfect.
All right.
Look forward to it. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you guys. Hopefully that connects, and keep doing marketing that resonates.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.